Okay, so following Death on Demand, I read The Bootlegger's Daughter by Margaret Maron. And let's see, I gave this book 3 stars as well. Now, this book takes place in North Carolina. You know, I was doing my North Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina, okay? The story is about a bootlegger's daughter who happens to be a lawyer and an attorney for a specific firm. Her name is Deborah Knott, and her story is told in the first person. Now, going back to get more into this character from a generational standpoint, her father, like I said, is a bootlegger. While he does get the side eye from many people within his community, he does have a wealth and he does have status. That status, of course, was built off his funding of specific political campaigns. So, you know, he's like that character who you admire, maybe somewhat like the anti-hero perhaps. We'll just put him in that category. He's not that prominent in the book, but you know that between him and his daughter Deborah that there's a relationship there that needs work. We'll leave it there. But he married previous to Deborah's mother, and this is where he produced 2 sons, and then he married Deborah's mother who died, and that's when Deborah came along. So the bootlegger's daughter follows the story of Deborah Knott as she uncovers a crime that took place in 1978, or was it 77? 1972 actually. A crime that took place in 1972 where in an old mill within the community, the body of one of Deborah's employers, because Deborah was a babysitter to this woman, the body of this woman was found. She had been beaten over the head and she'd been shot in an execution style, which would lend itself to putting her out of her misery. But next to her is her baby infant. Her infant is next to her, and that is the cause of the body's discovery, is because the baby was crying within the meal, and then 2 of the hands, the work hands within, you know, the area near the meal came about finding the body. And that happened 18 years previous to where this book jumps off. Nevertheless, at the beginning of the book, Deborah is in the middle of court. She is defending a black man who was arrested for a DUI. But there's some circumstances behind that as well. It was one that was not of ill intent, but Deborah sees the injustice of it all as the racist-ass judge, you know, climbs upon his bench. Oh my God, I hate these guys. And of course throws the book at this particular black guy. This motivates Deborah to start running as a judicial candidate for that judge's seat, basically. And she goes up against several other individuals. Then it kind of populates the book as it moves along. But this is the catalyst to that. Now, the problem is that she gets entangled as a lawyer with this murder that happened 18 years ago, when the victim's daughter, who Deborah as a teenager babysat, comes to her office and asks her to take another look into what happened to her mother, because the police, of course, aren't doing anything, and, you know, it's been a cold case for 18 years. Deborah, a little bit more reluctantly, decides to take on this case pro bono, you can say. She's not a detective, but all the same, I did enjoy this book. I don't think Deborah is as charismatic or witty as maybe China Bales, but she is very pragmatic, and I did enjoy that. That's something that I enjoy as a characteristic in a character, and dogged as well. And, you know, one of the things I love most about mysteries, when the amateur sleuth, specifically that of a woman, when she's actually moving, she's creating movement within the book. It's not just about her sitting around pushing papers. So Deborah was a very moving character in that sense. She took risk. Now, further pros that I have with this book is, like I said, the local color of North Carolina. It is I love the dialogue that goes into this book, and I love how, you know, there's a lot of emphasis on, you know, agriculture, as well as politics. Politics plays a role within this book as well. I don't want to say it's like the overarching focus, but it's definitely there. And the author goes into, like, the LGBT community is in here as well. And Deborah, as a character, she is one of those characters who is one who is influenced by civil rights. So that is one of her pragmatic focuses, is to make sure that justice is equally served. So I love that as well about her. Now, some of the cons that I have with this book is it's pretty populated. Especially when you look into the political side of her running and her getting into all these entanglements and having relationships with different political figures within her community. I got them all mixed up. I got them all mixed up. I wasn't sure if I should be looking at these guys and these women as suspects or what that's connected to the crime of that murdered wife, but I got them all mixed up. However, from a domestic standpoint, as we look further, as Deborah looks further into the relationship that the victim had with, her husband and her friends and et cetera, that all came to place and culminated in a great show, a great reading. So I got the connection with at least that half of the book. The rest, I was like, okay, what is this? Who is this guy again? What is this girl again? What is she supposed to do in the political campaign? And am I supposed to be watching her as the killer? But no, the domestic side worked. The political side confused me, although I did enjoy that flavor that went into this. I think that another thing that I feel is I think a lot of people may be put off from Deborah because she is, when it comes to politics, she does have her stance, and she does voice her opinion in the book as well. I think it's so interesting when you come to politics. It's like whatever side. I'm just saying this, but I can voice what I feel, but you can't do yours. You can't voice how you feel. That is kind of what I think that readers may get out of this. I'm trying to keep it vague, but I think that may be why some people may be upset with her, with Deborah and her beliefs. But as far as I know, I did enjoy the character of Deborah, and I'm hoping to read more of her. I think one of the things with me is it has to be something really outlandish and intrusive to my beliefs that it'll cause me to just throw the book away. But I don't think I've ever read anything that got me to that point when it comes to politics and books. But this book it has some depth to it. It really do have some depth to it. It's not your average cozy, and it's not as is, but it has a lot more depth to it than you would probably assume. So I enjoyed that part as well. I love mystery stories where they're trying to resolve a cold case and going back through time to figure out exactly what happened to the victim. And then I love when there's like a lot of secrets to be uncovered within that time frame. So that was great. The ending was once again lukewarm. I don't know how these people write these endings. It was just it was just lukewarm. But before my camera dies, I'm going to leave you guys with this. Two things I'm looking forward to within this series is Deborah's relationship with her father. Although rocky at times, it seems he loves his daughter dearly. And that I hope that he becomes a much more prominent figure within the book. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure he is. I really am looking forward to to that aspect. Another thing is that this book does very slightly, plugs in a romance component. It didn't get off, it didn't go off, but it's slightly there, and I'm honestly ready to see exactly what the author is going to do with that, because that will be interesting as well as the previous book. So we're doing some new things here. But anyway, that's it. I gotta go. I appreciate you guys.